Hey, I'm Warren the Waste Warrior, and in today's episode of Trash Talk, I'll be giving you a detailed rundown on why the way you consume and dispose of your stuff ends up affecting you and your wider community, and how some items bound for the bin can help with other jobs, saving you the extra cash. And plus, I'll throw you some free advice on how you, as an individual, can do your bit to make it better. Now, in recent years, you've probably seen your fair share of distressing pictures on your socials. Turtles with plastic straws jammed up their nostrils, and plastic bottles littering the shores of Bali, and even the giant swirling pile of trash that's big as an island in the Pacific Ocean. They all come to mind, and no doubt it's had a lot of you cringing and feeling pretty sorry about how humans treat the planet. But have seeing those images done anything to change your habits? Well, it's not necessarily your fault. Sometimes you don't get the practical information for how to change the way you've always lived. And that's why I'm here to help you out. Righto, first of all, recyclable items, like cans and bottles for instance, don't have their lives extended as soon as you chuck them in your trash. It's important to make sure your recycling is clean before it's taken away, as a lot of waste services who don't deal with co-mingled waste will have to throw it in the landfill if they're not certain. The reason being is that if any non-recyclable substances pass through the system, it can contaminate other items and ruin a good batch of recycled products. For example, this jar just needs a few seconds under hot water, and then she's good as gold to go straight in your recycling bin. Or squeak it clean. And then there's some things that are maybe a bit tougher to clean, such as this jar of peanut butter. Well, then they just need to soak overnight, and yeah, that's pretty decent really. Got most of the peanut butter out there. Give it another rinse, maybe a bit of a rub around the rim, and then that's pretty clean. As long as it's 90% clean, then she's all good. So, waste is often thought of as a problem to be managed rather than a resource with value. And of course, you can still close the loop before you go to throw these things away. Glass jars, for example. You've seen the trend at the moment with homes and cafes utilising them for your average drinking glass. And it works just as well. You can see here that we're all stocked up. Plenty of them in there. But if you find that your cupboards are bulging from stockpiling, glass or plastic jars are a super easy and affordable way to clean up and organise your pantry. I've seen heaps of blog posts online of spice assortments or baking ingredients, for example, as cheaper than Tupperware. Even still, there's flexibility, there's further flexibility like candle holders, pots for small plants, stationery holders, sanitary items for the bathroom. You just grab a DIY paint kit and satisfy all your home decor needs. Now, if you would walk into your garage or your spare room right now, I reckon you'd come across a few things you haven't used in yonks. Now, it's not such a bad thing. While it might have been the lazy option, you might find another purpose for these items, or you've been waiting for someone like me to come along and help you out. So there's a term called hedging these days, which basically refers to things you replace when you get your hands on a better version. Now, a lot of the time, these are old electronics like phones, laptops, earphones, cameras, TVs, you name it. And one day, you'll need to get rid of these. As our demand for flashy new technology increases. And our lifestyles become more dependent upon it. These things harness internal materials that are both dangerous yet valuable. So it's important we think about the potential for its afterlife. See, if these things end up in our environment, it can seriously damage ecosystems, and toxic elements like lithium, uranium, and mercury have the potential to poison its surroundings if exposed. And 50 million tons of this stuff is deposited, is thrown out each year. But luckily in Australia there are plenty of opportunities to recycle e-waste ethically. Now, our government introduced an industry-funded recycling scheme in 2011 that provides us with heaps of local services and drop-off points that take care of old electronics, both in urban and regional settings. In nearby Harvey Norman and Officeworks, stores are included amongst many other businesses and waste facilities. And you can check out Planet Ark's website to find out more. Also, Australia is the motherland for many of these materials in the first place. So, if we can refit old electronics back into the production cycle, we could find ourselves with a surplus of valuable resources, which can either help make newer products cheaper or open up a new industry for electronic restoration. And voila, more jobs. Anyway, enough about misconception that packaging from food has greater environmental impacts than the food waste itself. Decaying food left untended produces methane, a harmful gas which contributes to global warming, which in itself, amongst a lot of other problems, makes growing and maintaining food stocks a harder task. Also, many Australians have limited access to decent, affordable and nutritional foods. You compare this with the fact that Australian households on average spend between $2,200 and $3,800 on food that becomes waste every year. And what's fair about that? Now, people tend to get funny about eating leftovers or worry too much about the dates on their products, which causes them to go and buy excess food and to consume excess stuff. And believe it or not, the sniff and taste test is generally a good indication of if your food is still alright. I mean, as long as you know what off meat smells like. Plus, it's a fine cash saving and time saving way to whip up a decent meal. But if you find your home is constantly chock-a-block full of food, I can understand it's difficult to keep an eye on those small containers at the back of the fridge. So there's a few extra ways your excess food can hold another purpose. Take composting or worm farms, for example. If you've ever had thoughts about starting a garden project, this is all the inspiration you could need right here. You can grow your own organic fruit and veggies, or perhaps plant some flower seedlings with just a mix of food scraps and soil. Plus, you can check with your local council, or because quite often they'll support or subsidise your home program. A brilliant idea to get going if you're yet to get access to a green waste or FOGO waste program in your community. And lastly, there are 4 main food rescue organisations in Australia which basically exist as food charities. Well, we've got Food Bank, Second Bite, Fair Share and Oz Harvest. Now, their job is to collect food that's close to going off or is more than needed by businesses or producers. And they have the resources to transform this food into products with a longer lifespan for those people that I mentioned before, who have limited access and opportunity. So this makes for a more equal society. What you choose to buy also influences what is offered in different parts of the country and the world. If you head to the supermarket and buy heaps of things with plastic packaging, companies assume they're achieving success based on the product you bought and continue using the same materials. Even if you believe you're recycling responsibly, that same product might be consumed in other places where decent waste facilities don't exist. And that same packaging ends up in landfill. So, let's talk plastic. It's a real theme, this stuff. Shit. It's designed to be lasting and endurable. Great for when we need it to work, and not so great when we don't want it to work. We've already got that picture in our heads of bottles and fishing nets washing around in waterways. But that's only what we can see. I don't know if you know anything about microplastics, but they're tiny little fragments of plastic material that still exist in the ecosystem. They're so small that the animals don't realise they're consuming it. And we don't realise it when we consume the animal, or straight from bottled water. A recent study revealed people on average are ingesting 2,000 microplastic pieces per week. And while health investigations are ongoing, it can't be good for our bodies, or animals' bodies, to have plastic inside us, which gets created using toxic chemicals. Grotty. So, governments of all levels need to follow the leadership of the European Union and also South Australia by phasing out single-use plastics and assisting communities and companies to move forward without it. We, as individuals, can help send a strong message by choosing brands or varieties that use sustainable packaging, like biodegradables that break down easier and doesn't give anyone any issues post-use. Now, from this point, most important is that you pass this information on to others in your life. Through your work, your school, your sports club, anywhere that you spend time within your community or elsewhere, because most of these are simple changes. And the reality is, in most cases, people don't know or don't understand. Now, some mightn't agree or care, but hopefully they're in the minority. And if you can talk to them in a real down-to-earth way, there's more chance they'll side with you. So, that's it for Trash Talk today. Hooroo.